Sports Podcast. We dive deep, talking ball games from NFL to the NBA, elite athletes, talking coaches, strategizing. Every episode, we bring you the latest. From soccer fields to tennis courts so vast. We cover every sport, night and day fast. Hear the stories, the wins, the losses too. Our passions for sports, no matter the crew. Mack Truck Sports, where the talk never ends. From the big leagues to the little friends. Get ready for the ride, we're just getting started. Mack Truck Sports, let's make this a...
Welcome into a Wednesday edition of the Mack Truck Podcast, the Mack Truck Show, presented to you by the Tire Sports Network, as well as Cumulus Media Des Moines Podcast Network. My name's the Mack Truck. Welcome in. You're watching my show. It's a really gloomy Wednesday evening here. Not really for it. I wasn't for the rain this morning on my way to work either. But listen, we're here. We're here to talk sports, all of the things with you. Again, thank you for joining us. If you're joining us on the TikTok stream, welcome in. If you're joining us on Facebook or any other social media platform, welcome in. Got a little bit of a shorter docket for you today, but chock full of content and details per normal. Okay. Just to start out, it's rivalry week. Okay. It's the Iowa Super Bowl. All right. The Iowa Corn Cyhawk series this coming Saturday. We'll have more details on that. Also going to be going over some WNBA news and notes and where the future of the playoffs lie for specifically the Indiana Fever, a Caitlin Clark-less Indiana Fever, might I add, as well as just some news and notes from around the league and kind of a rant that I have that includes, but not limited to, DeWanna Bonner. I'm really kind of not impressed with her demeanor, and I'm also really not quite impressed with how my girl Caitlin Clark has been kind of just on the court. At least last night's game, every time she's on the court, it's obviously a thing. It's obviously a presence. You know, you always want to stand out and support your team while you are on the sidelines being injured and recovering. However, what I will say is, you know, sometimes we don't have to stoop down to other people's lows, but it's okay. Sometimes you got to stoop down to their low to get to make your point seen. So I'm also going to talk about the recap of college football week 1 as far as the debacle that was Bill Belichick's opening game as a college football coach. Also going to be talking about some NFL preseason, specifically the demise that is my Dallas Cowboys, who will be playing the Super Bowl champions, the Philadelphia Eagles, at Lincoln Financial Stadium, Lincoln Financial Field tomorrow night, primetime. We're going to be going over that. Also going to go over some really somber news in terms of a tribute to those who lost their lives during the Minnesota shootings last week. And I thank you guys again for joining me. Again, my name is Mack Truck. You're here. This portion of the show is brought to you by In My Bag Apparel and Customs, the official merchandiser and brand manager of the Mack Truck Podcast. Make sure you are following them on bigcartel.com, as well as the Whatnot app, as well as right here. If you want to order some merchandise, you can hit my line or hit up Evan Thunder Bradfield on TikTok and or any other social media site. Again, I thank you guys for joining me. Like I said, we do have to start out on a somber note for those of you who pay attention to the world news, and you can find this information on abcnews.com.go. Okay. August 27th, 2025, the Sunication Catholic School Church was involved in a very sad shooting as some students that were attending the school and attending mass during one of their school periods that ended up in a tragedy. Robin Westman, 23 years old, who was also a former student of the school, went on a shooting rampage in the middle of mass, and there was 18 injured and 2 children that lost their lives in this tragic event. It is stated that the shooter, again, did previously attend the school, and the student's mother also was a staff member for the school. I do believe it says up until 2021. And, you know, you never want to assume the mental health of somebody. You never want to assume that things are okay with somebody. You never want to assume you know, that things and people are what they seem to be on the outside. And I just really encourage everybody to kind of just look around them themselves and look around their surroundings and, tell somebody you love them today, whether it's a family member, whether it's somebody you just don't know, whether it's somebody on the street, whether it's somebody that, you're not really talking to right now. Life is entirely too short to, not tell somebody you love them. And my motto has always been and will forever be, have a 5-minute conversation with somebody who doesn't look like you, doesn't talk like you, doesn't act like you, doesn't come from the same background, because you never know. A conversation like that can literally change the mind space of somebody. But also in that same respect, you also never want to assume that friendly conversations are going to alter someone's mindset one way or the other. Most of the time, as we've all kind of experienced in our lives, that once your mind is made up about something, it's pretty much made up rather, and it's really just heartbreaking. So, the two children that lost their lives are an 8-year-old boy and a 10-year-old girl. So just about first and third grade. Anywhere in that range and space. The Department of Police Chief Christy Noman also identified the shooter as a deranged monster. And regardless of what anybody did, and obviously I'm not condoning these actions, so if you're watching this from the hallway and you're thinking I'm condoning this by what I'm going to say, you can kindly leave, because I'm absolutely not. What I am saying, however, though, is by calling the shooter or offender a deranged monster or anything to that effect doesn't make the situation any better. Doesn't make you look better. Doesn't make you seem any better. Doesn't make you come across any better. Let's just keep those and such while we are, in front of news cameras, things like that. So like I said, I do encourage everybody to just take a look around themselves, try to give each other grace. And like I said, find somebody and tell them you love them. Whether, like I said, old family member, old friend, call them up, send them a message, tell them you love them, let them know that you're here if they need it. And I'm also here if anybody wants to talk or vent. I'm a huge advocate for suicide. And unfortunately, the shooter did end up taking their own life after said events happened. So I do want to take a quick moment of silence for everybody that lost their lives. Thank you for that. And other news, like I said, they did end up attending the school, and there hasn't been many other details outside of what I've just given you. But again, you can find this on abcnews.go.com as far as any updates and more information if you so choose. Now we are into sports. Okay, that's what we're here for. So let's get it cracking. This part of the show is brought to you again by In My Bag Apparel and Customs with Evan Thunder Bradfield, the official merchandiser of the Mack Truck Podcast. Now, listen. NFL season starts tomorrow, folks. Ask me if I'm excited. The answer is no. Literally not thrilled for NFL season. I mean, I'm excited for football, but I'm not excited to watch the demise of what it will be my Dallas Cowboys. Now, I'm going to preface my comments by saying this. I am not a typical Dallas Cowboy fan. Not every season is our season. Jerry Jones is a terrible owner, and I'm not really on board with Brian Schottenheimer yet. I'm only tolerating it personally because his father, Marty Schottenheimer, football god. Obviously, you got to have some kind of smarts, and knowledge of the game to be a head coach and be in that position. And it also helps when you come from a great pedigree of coaching. Brian Schottenheimer's first game as the Dallas Cowboys head coach is tomorrow night. Okay, versus none other than the NFC East rivals and Super Bowl champions that are the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts, Cooper DeJean, Saquon Barkley. Okay, love it here. And I'm gonna just throw this out here. Okay, Dallas is gonna lose by 10. It's gonna be a good game. Dak Prescott's gonna get a couple touchdowns. It's really going to be the CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, and Jake Ferguson show, to be completely honest with you. Dallas is going to end up losing by 10 just because we did lose Micah Parsons just about a week and a half ago to none other than the Green Bay Packers. And we're going to have more on that trade in terms of details and things like that here in just a second. But realistically, I think Dallas will end up losing this first game of the season. Okay. And it's not going to be because they're not good. It's just because the Eagles are better and have presumably been better for, well, a while. Okay. And I'm here to tell you that's just the reality of football. So any Dallas Cowboy fan out there that thinks that we're going to the Super Bowl this year without some wild stretch of the imagination, sit down. Okay. Anybody that thinks that the Dallas Cowboys are going to make the playoffs, I'm not going to tell you to sit down. Could actually happen, but we have to win like 10, 12 games. Okay. We have to be 75% perfect. Can't say 100% because there's no such thing as perfection. Perfection is intangible. Okay. However, we have to play good football. And if by some random stretch of the imagination that we actually somehow just come out and just, completely shock the world in its entirety and beat Philly in Philly, saying something. I'm for it. Love it here. But either way, we're going to keep talking here. So for those of you who missed out on the NFL news last week, the biggest breaking news of this offseason, going into the new season of NFL football 2025-2026, Michael Parsons was traded to the Green Bay Packers. And again, I ranted about this last week. Of all teams, you could have picked the Nebraska Cornhuskers, and I'd have been fine with it. But you traded him to the Green Bay Packers. So here's my theory. We'll get into like the contract details, the length, and all of that. The bottom line is that if Micah Parsons wanted to actually be a Dallas Cowboy, he would have signed on the dotted line when Jerry Jones offered. Now, on the flip side of that, if Jerry Jones really was serious about keeping Micah Parsons on my front four as the top edge rusher and one of the top edge rushers in the NFL, he would have offered the man what he's worth. There's no way in God's green earth on hell that you offered him the highest paying non-quarterback contract because he would have signed it. Ain't no way in hell you did that, Jerry. I'm sorry. Don't say here I'm bluff. You can talk to WFan. You can talk to all the Dallas and Texas radio networks you want. Those of us who are logical NFL fans and logical players, athletes, anybody that just knows the sport of football knows you ain't do that. Don't tell that lie no more. You better stop. You better stop while you ahead. The thankful part is, in terms of his replacement, if you will, okay, got Kenny Clark. Kenny Clark is a very formidable replacement. I don't even like to use the word replacement, but for technicality terms, that's what it is. Kenny Clark is replacing Micah Parsons as one of the front four for the Dallas Cowboys starting defense. Anybody that knows football, Dallas Cowboys run a basic 4-front, 2 ends, a guard and a tackle in terms of nose guard, nose tackle, D tackle, all the things. Now, we also added Solomon Thomas, who was a former Philadelphia Eagle. And I personally think that will work to our advantage depending on how many people are still on the team, or players rather, they're still on the Philadelphia Eagles that Solomon Thomas played with. Now, we picked him up in the offseason, just picked up Kenny Clark about a little over a week ago. Obviously, they were still in shape, having been with their other respective teams, all the things. It's just seeing how they're going to be able to execute off the rip at Lincoln Financial Field, playing Jalen Hurts, playing Saquon Barkley, playing Dallas Goedert, playing Devontae Smith. Like, it's listen, like, the Dallas Cowboys are going to have a hard time. But in the same respect, Dallas has added some weapons and gotten some weapons back in terms of defense. Pretty much my entire front four is back, with the exception of Michael Parsons and the additions of Kenny Clark and Solomon Thomas. They also just signed, the Dallas Cowboys just re-signed Jordan Lewis to a contract. They also just took Trayvon Diggs off the injured list. I'm praying to all of the football gods that he somehow is able to start tomorrow night. Realistically, I don't know if that's going to happen, but he is currently off of the injured list, which is fantastic. So we're going to see. But in further news in terms of the Micah Parsons trade details, the Green Bay Packers traded Dallas Cowboys for Micah Parsons for 2 first-round picks and Kenny Clark. That's like cookie crumbs. We're not even going to get into that. Also, we're going to spend the entire show with me ranting and losing my entire mind, and my face changing all kinds of colors to match my hair. I'll have time. Listen, 4 years, $188 million and $120 million guaranteed. That's how I know Jerry Jones did not offer him the highest paying non-quarterback contract in the NFL. Because that right there, I'm almost positive, is actually the highest paying non-quarterback position contract in the NFL. I could be wrong, but I do know that Myles Garrett's contract was very similar. Jerry, all you needed to do was offer him literally more guaranteed money. And we all know that you have it. You're now $1 billion, $1 trillion entity, and you couldn't fork over a little extra more or even less of a year extension and just giving him what he asked for. Now, when the Dallas Cowboys don't come up to par normal, 99% of that because of you, okay, we're all going to be looking at you. But at the end of the day, Jerry, you're not on the field playing. The players have to play and play the game to win the game. But you making all these boneheaded-ass decisions, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. That I can't help you with. I can help you with the football part. The business decisions that you think you're making well for the team, can't go. And I see some people are just now joining here on the stream on Facebook and all the other things and on TikTok stream. For those of you who missed it, I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to lose by 10. It's going to be 31-21 in Philadelphia. Dak's probably going to throw a pick. Jalen's probably going to throw a pick or a sack. Both of them are going to get sacked. It's going to be an electric game to start out the season. But either way, Dallas also plays Green Bay in Week 4. So that will be interesting to see Michael Parsons come back to AT&T Stadium where he got his footing and his pro career in terms of how it got started. And I'm for it, frankly, because I don't think Michael Parsons is going to get booed. But at the end of the day, when you think about it, business is business. Okay, business is business, and I'm here to play football at a high level and get paid because football is my job. That's on, that's really all it is. Business is business. I mean, and I'm sure there's no hard feelings in terms of Micah and former teammates and things like that. And I've seen former teammates, I've heard things from former teammates as far as interview streams, things like that, literally saying that, we still love Micah. Micah's still our guy, but business is business. Now we're on different teams. So, you're coming after us and we're coming after y'all. And that's how it should be. Should be no hard feelings unless something catastrophic actually happened. And obviously we don't have the inside scoop on any of the things that happen in the locker room unless you work for them, all of the things. Also, I see a comment that says, let's go Texas. Listen here, John. Texas lost with Arch Manning. Don't start. Anywho, fact of the matter is NFL football starts. It also starts out with a Friday night game in Brazil. Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Travis Kelce, Ladd McConkey, Andy Reid, Jim Harbaugh. I absolutely can't wait. I can't wait. I'm also still getting used to the fact that we have NFL football and just football in general almost every day of every single week, with the exceptions of holidays and things like that. Frankly, I don't really know who to pick. But naturally, I want to pick the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, obviously, you can never count the Chiefs out. They are a very dynastic team. And just because they didn't win the Super Bowl last year, that doesn't mean they're not going to turn around and try to flip it 180 again, which we've all seen happen. We have all seen the Kansas City Chiefs do it. In the same respect, the Los Angeles Chargers have added weapons. They've gotten some weapons back. I'm excited to see. I really also want to see if some trades happen. They also just re-signed Kyron Williams to a monster contract, which is fantastic. I love it. I just love football. I really do. In fact, I just love sports, but this is why I have my own show. So again, thank you guys for joining me here on the Mack Truck Show again, presented to you by the Cumulus Media Podcast Network. Words are hard on a Wednesday, as well as the Tired Sports Network. You can find both of those anywhere you find your podcast: YouTube, Spotify, TikTok Live, Apple Pods, Google Pods, all the things. But we're moving on. The WNBA. Hi. If you can tell by the look on my face, I'm excited to talk about this topic. I'm not even going to lie to you. Not going to lie about the fact that I'm not excited to talk about the WNBA for once. Well, actually, let me rephrase that. I'm not excited to talk about one team in particular when it comes to the WNBA. The Aces currently are second place in the playoff seedings, followed by Phoenix, followed by Minnesota, New York, Seattle, Golden State. Minnesota Lynx at number 1. And the current unfortunate demise of my Indiana Fever. Unfortunately, the injury bug again has caught up to the Indiana Fever this season. It happens to every team. It's a thing. You lose about 4 or 5 players. One who is barely still available for the rest of regular season, provided the Indiana Fever can tack on a couple more wins to solidify the AC, because that's exactly what's going to happen if they don't win the next game. Their next game, I believe, is versus the Chicago Sky in Indiana, in Gainbridge Fieldhouse, Painbridge Fieldhouse. Caitlin Clark is still out, but she's been practicing. I don't quite know if she's been cleared for contact. I know there's been a little bit of just like Indiana news and Fever news as far as interviews and questions from Coach Stephanie White, saying that she's not quite out of the restricted injury zone in terms of contact. And I completely understand that your team has to be able to function without one of its star players and one of the faces and phenoms of the league. I absolutely understand that. And it's true. They've had a rocky go without Caitlin Clark. But that's not to say Caitlin Clark is the entire team. That's not to say that she's the sole reason that they are winning games. She's a lot of the reason because of how she handles the ball, delivers the ball, facilitates the game rather. On top of the fact that she's one of the scariest and most accurate 3-point shooters on planet Earth. I mean, up there with the Chelsea Gray. Okay, up there with even the unfortunateness that is DeWanna Bonner. We'll get to her in a minute because I'm kind of sick of looking at her face. I'm not even going to lie to you. Kelsey Mitchell, who now is the first player this season to sink 100 3-point shots. Kelsey Mitchell literally needs to be in the running for MVP. She needs to be up there with Fee. She needs to be up there with Asia Wilson. She needs to be up there with anybody else that's on at least the top 5 list. Kelsey Mitchell needs to be on that list. It's a given fact. Like anybody that's watched this season this year in terms of the WNBA has seen Kelsey Mitchell literally put the team on her back time and time again. They've won some with that type of mentality. They've lost some with that type of mentality in terms of Kelsey Mitchell having to run the point, shooting guard, point guard combo. But you added Odyssey Sims, you added Kyla Lambert, you add a Brianna Turner back into that starting lineup, and then you get the tenaciousness that is Lexi Hull. And I wish that they would have been able to have a little bit more time with all of these hardship contract players, and this would go for any other team, mind you. And unfortunately, I do have to talk about the Indiana Fever a lot because they are one of the teams that's on the cusp of losing their playoff spot. Realistically, I don't think that's going to happen there because there are a couple teams that are still searching for that magic number that is 20 plus wins. The Indiana Fever have 21 wins. They are 21-20. If they, for whatever reason, lose to the Chicago Sky, which I can't see why they would, but the Chicago Sky also have nothing to lose right now. They literally could come into this game on Friday with the mentality of ruining the rest of the playoff hopes for the Indiana Fever. I would think, however, with Indiana Fever having the home field or home court advantage, rather, they are going to try to get some momentum into the last 2 games of regular season. Because, as some people know, if you don't watch the NBA, don't know the WNBA in terms of how their playoff spots work. There are currently 13 teams in the WNBA. Top 8 spots get the playoff seedings. The bottom five seeds unfortunately don't make the playoffs because obviously it's a smaller league, less teams in terms of the league. But as they start to progress in terms of growing and expanding the WNBA again, more of those playoff spots are going to start opening. Like next year when they add Toronto and the Cleveland Rockers back and the Toronto, Seattle, and start to add like the St. Louis, Kansas City, and Tennessee markets in the later years, it's going to get crazy. the playoff spots are going to start to open. The roster spots are going to start to look more like having more teams, more spaces, more jobs, all that thing. So we're going to wait to see look as far as like the expansion, the playoff spots right now in terms of Indiana. They are this close, folks, from losing their playoff spot. And I just really am hoping that doesn't happen. That would be great because really everybody wants to see Caitlin Clark back on the court. I mean, I don't care if you're a fan, a hater, a fanatic, super hater. You're either going to watch to see her succeed, or you're going to watch to see her try to see her fail. Either way, y'all going to be tuning in as soon as she gets the green light to come back. Sales are going to go back up. Viewership's going to go back. It's the same thing with Paige Beckers. It's the same thing with Angel Reese. It's the same thing with any of the past 3 draft classes. There are pivotal players and pivotal stars on these teams and in these leagues. When injury strikes any of them, any of the teams, any of these players, the interest and viewership goes down. And that's just how it is. It's the same thing with the NFL, same thing with the NBA, but the NFL and the NBA, MLB, the Power 5, Power 6 or 7 of professional sports in the American pyramid of life in terms of sporting is concerned. All of these other leagues have been around a lot longer than the WNBA as a whole. The WNBA hasn't had enough of a go to establish the popularity, but it's getting there. So they can't just rely on, a lot of its older veterans and all the things. Now, speaking of older veterans, and I've ranted about this before, and I'm going to do it again. And again, I appreciate you guys for joining in and watching. If you're watching on the TikTok, welcome to the Mack Truck Show. If you're watching over on any of the other streaming platforms, listening live on the radio broadcast airwaves, welcome to the show. I am the Mack Truck. Wednesday evening here talking right now WNBA and how I'm really sick of DeWanna Bonner's ass. Okay. I'm really sick of looking at her. Love her as a player. Great individual. The Hall of Famer, championship, the WNBA champion. Listen, girl, you got about 2 more times to keep trying to taunt people from the sideline. You are literally the epitome of what we call a quitter. You are the epitome of a whining adult. Why? Because you signed with the Indiana Fever in the off season in hopes of getting a starting spot. Absolutely. Nobody's starting spots are guaranteed. I don't give a damn what you tell me. I don't care what fucking planet you're from. Okay? Nobody's starting spot is guaranteed. You have to plan, you have to earn, you have to work. Anybody that knows DeWanna Bonner, knows how she plays, knows that she could have easily earned that spot. Just because you're a veteran, however, doesn't guarantee you a starting spot. Absolutely not. Just because you are a veteran, folks, doesn't guarantee you a starting spot. And that really was DeWanna Bonner's issue outside of what may actually have been some personal issues. You came off the bench with Sydney Colson, with Sophia Cunningham. You 3, Sophia, it was Kelsey Mitchell, Caitlin Clark, okay, Aaliyah Boston, Natasha Howard, and give or take that any one of those other three could have started. Sophie Cunningham's, Sydney Colson, or DeWanna Bonner in terms of the top 4, 5, 6, top 8 will go. You're mad because you couldn't outbeat Natasha Howard for that 4 spot. You couldn't outplay or practice Aaliyah Boston. They're a little younger than you. It's gonna happen. But as a veteran, you should be willing to be wanting to come off the bench and show people like I can still be productive and come off the bench and not have to start. Like get that cocky ass veteran mindset out of your head. Like you're a whole WNBA champion rather. You're a whole about to be Hall of Famer if not already one. You've broken so many records and done this thing so many 2, 3, 4 times over, and you're gonna throw a fit because you didn't start for the Indiana Fever, who have a whole slew of young players on their team that have a little bit better mechanics, have a little bit better fundamentals because they're still a little bit raw in their professional careers. You've been here, you've done this. Why are you acting like that? And you want to sit there and run your mouth at Caitlin Clark? First of all, I don't know if any of y'all have noticed, okay? But Caitlin Clark is not somebody who's going to keep her mouth shut. Like, I don't give a damn. You could be Santa Damn Claus, okay? Caitlin Clark is not going to keep her mouth shut because of a DeWanna Bonner, just because you're a veteran. She doesn't even keep her mouth shut with Coach Stephanie White telling her to chill out. Like, and that's why I feel like she's going to make a great coach. Like, if I'm going to keep it a buck, Caitlin Clark's going to make a great coach when her professional career is done. I don't know if anybody has paid attention to her mannerisms and how she's been basically helping coach, be the player's coach for her teammates. She's been trying to heal from all these injuries and knick-knack things that she's got going on. It's the same thing with DeWanna Bonner on the other side. And frankly, if anybody on that team has any room in terms of the Phoenix Mercury to be running their mouth about anything, it would be DeWanna Bonner's wife. Her name is Alyssa Thomas. Alyssa Thomas is also in the top 5 for the WNBA MVP race. It literally is Kelsey Mitchell, Nafisa Collier, Asia Wilson, and Alyssa Thomas. That should be your top 4, with maybe like a Sonia Citron in terms of like rookie of the year. If we're just gonna throw out names, Chiney Agumuke, NECA, both of them. Even if Chiney's not playing, she could be the MVP too. Like DeWanna Bonner don't have a lot of room to talk. Like nobody really takes you seriously across the league in terms of you running your mouth like that. Like, yes, great, you're a pro, you're an athlete, you're a stand-up individual, which you are. But just because you getting paid to play basketball, and just because you got your little contract, you got your way, you went back to the team that you left because you still didn't get more money, mind you. When you went to free agency, they did not give you more money. You went to Indiana, who gave you more money, and then you left. So now you're back to your old contract. That's a you thing, sis, not an us thing. Stop taking it out on people. Okay, you got your starting spout back. You're back at home with your wife, with your team, with your coach, with the system that you know. That was the other problem, is you didn't like how fast-paced it was. But now you go back to Phoenix, and it's a little bit faster than what Indiana's playing right now. So what you bugging for, boo? What you bugging for? Chill the hell out. Anywho, we're moving on into the next portion of our show. This portion of our show is brought to you by Patent That Spirits with Daniel Jen Patton, their patented line of adult beverages, which are not limited to and do not only include the following in terms of whiskey, gin, and tequila. Make sure you are enjoying responsibly, indulging responsibly, because that's what we want to do. If we are going to indulge, we need to do it responsibly. Make sure you're hitting them up on Instagram and or Facebook at them Pattons. That's the at symbol TheMPattons, and tell them the Mac Truck sent you. Make sure you order product. It's good product. It's great product. The only way we make it out here as small businesses is with support. It takes absolutely zero effort to like, share, and subscribe. It takes absolutely zero effort. It costs no money to write a review. It costs no money to have word of mouth. Like, everybody is trying to make it, whether you're a syndicated show or those of us who are trying to become a syndicated show, whether you are a small business trying to become $1 million business, or you're just starting out with ideas. Everybody needs support, just like In My Bag, just like the Mack Truck brand, just like, Chopping It Up with P. Scott, the Playbook Podcast, anything like that. It costs $0 to be nice. It costs $0 to like, share, and subscribe, and engage. The engagement is really what we're looking for. That's really what 99% of any of these small businesses, anything that I'm doing ad-wise, is support. I don't want to hear, oh, well, I missed this. Well, I got a link. You can buy it. You can buy support, right? If you really want to support outside of just doing all of this, you can share a link. You can buy a t-shirt for $25. You can send a little gift on TikTok. You can sign up for a little subscription. It costs $0 or very little to $0 to support. Either way, make sure you're buying In My Bag apparel and Patent That Spirits. Listen, and I'm looking at the comments again. Thank you guys for joining me. I see it. In fact, the sole creator and proprietorship manager and merchandiser of the Mack Truck brand, In My Bag apparel, hashtag Evan Thunder Bradfield. Also, one half of the coveted show, Recognized Game with the brotherly duo. That is Evan and Caleb Bradfield, CB the Bully, Evan Thunderman himself. You can catch their show also on the Tired Sports Network. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and follow and engage. Okay? It don't cost that much to engage. Like, it's not that hard. And like I said, I thank y'all for tapping the screen, sending all the gifts, sharing it out, all the things. I see everybody on both sides. I know I'm going back and forth. We got a lot to talk about. Listen, we get into college football. College football week 1 recap. Okay, now listen. It's going to be a little painful for some people. And it's going to be painful for me, even though the Hawkeyes won. I'll tell you this. And Evan, I'm gonna apologize right now because I know you're watching, and my best friend is a Texas fan, but he's not an illogical Texas fan. I'll tell you that. He's also not like these casual fans out here who know nothing about football. Okay. Unfortunately, I do have to start out with the game of the week. At this point, what was number 1 rated Texas Longhorns went into Ohio Stadium and got rocked. The Longhorns got longhorned, unfortunately. But not by much, only by a touchdown. They do lose in the shoot to the Ohio State Buckeyes, who are the current reigning national defending champions for college football. Ohio State beats them 7-14. Arch Manning, 170 yards, goes 17 for 30, has 1 touchdown and 1 interception. Julian Sayin, the new starting quarterback to take over Will Howard's position as QB1 for the Ohio State Buckeyes. 126 yards, 13 for 20, and 1 touchdown. Now listen, it absolutely was a defensive battle. Absolutely. I mean, anybody that watched that game, it was batted down balls. People were getting stuffed in the line of scrimmage. There were sacks. Things were happening. Sacks were happening. Tackles for loss were happening on both sides. The biggest difference was the quarterback play. Unfortunately for Arch Manning, very first road game as the official starter for the Texas Longhorns, didn't fare very well. But that doesn't mean his career's over, folks. That doesn't mean he's trash, okay? It doesn't mean he's not a good football player, because I want to see some of y'all jackholes step into a big D1 college starting quarterback role and have any better success than him. The fact that he was able to get balls and passes off with the amount of pressure the Ohio State Buckeye defense was throwing at me. I'm talking like I was playing quarterback. I played defense, so I can add either way. First road game officially, he started, games in, at home in Texas. To started games 99% of his football career. I mean, yes, he's one of the heirs of the throne of the Manning talent. The Archie Manning is his grandfather, his father. Peyton Manning's his uncle. Eli Manning's his dad played NFL football too. Like, the kid has a football pedigree in his family, folks. But y'all just can't expect him to just go lights out his very first college game as a sophomore, mind you, and just light it up like his uncles. Like, the kid's got to get he's so wet behind the ears to smell like Similac, as Stephen A. Smith would say. That you got to give him time. But I fully believe that Arch Manning and the Texas Longhorns are going to be okay. This one's going to hurt for a little bit, but they're going to come out guns a-blazing like they always do. Longhorn style, hard, ground and pound football, lasers through the air. But his receivers also have to catch the ball. That's the other thing, is his receivers have to catch the ball. Olin has to block a lot better than what they were. It is what it is. Everybody has a bad game. But what we can't have happen is we can't have patterns of bad games. We got to clean up the things that we couldn't clean up, and we have to be better the next game. And I mean, that's just what it is. And the same thing could be said for Ohio State. Everybody thought Ohio State was going to come into their home stadium and blow them out. You won by a touchdown, literally because Arch Manning threw a pick. And Arch Manning was also this close from tying it up and then going for 2 to take the lead and essentially win the game. As a freshman quarterback, a fresh quarterback rather, new starter for the Texas Longhorns, you gotta hit your checkdowns. Your checkdowns are there for a reason. Audibles are there for a reason. Have to read checkdowns. If the defense is giving you a cover 2 and your long routes are covered over the top, you literally have your 5-yard to 10-yard and sometimes your 15-yard routes open. You also have this super cool thing called a running back. Running backs are really good for opening up the passing game if you run the right play. I mean, I'm just saying, as a quarterback, especially with the types of technology and communication we have now in football across the board, okay? You gotta start to step into that leadership role a little bit faster. You gotta start to be like, Coach, I'm not like what I'm saying. We're changing the audible at the line, whatever that looks like. You have to be able to start to step into that role. But you also gotta cut him some slack. Again, First game on the road as a true starter for Texas Longhorn football team. Like, it literally is what it is. But you have to also have amnesia. When it comes to sports, you have to have amnesia. Swipe it under the rug, gear up for week 2. Okay, moving on into the next game. Now, this game, listen, this game I'm about to talk to y'all about. Again, if y'all watch college football, if you know anything about college football, y'all know about the Alabama Crimson Tide. Listen, the Alabama Crimson Tide got railroaded by the Florida State Seminoles. The unranked Florida State Seminoles, mind you. Coach Kalen DeBoer, for our second full season now, or starts his second full season as his head coaching tenure for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Ryan Williams, okay. Ty Simpson takes over as quarterback for Jalen Milroe. Jalen Milroe now plays for the Seattle Seahawks. Okay. It's I think it's going to be a tough season for Alabama. And that's no knock on them. They are literally rebuilding. They send players to the league every season. Ty Simpson is kind of in the same spot Arch Manning was, or is rather. You know, true junior, true sophomore, coming into a starting position. You've been sitting behind, you know, somebody getting some decent reps for a year or two. I'm not sure, though. Alabama also had problems running the ball. Alabama's offensive line outside of Caden Proctor couldn't block a nosebleed, couldn't block the backside of a damn barn. I could do better than that, but I'm also 5'10" and I don't weigh 300 pounds anymore. So probably wouldn't fare very well as an offensive lineman in college these days. Fact of the matter is, Florida State came and make a statement, which they did. Again, blew them out 31-17. Ty Simpson, 254 yards, goes 23 for 43 on the game and a pair of touchdowns. Time Castellano, 152 yards, 9 for 14 on the game. No touchdowns. All their touchdowns were running touchdowns or pitches in terms of Florida State. And I can't remember if Florida State ended up making the top 25 because of that win over Alabama. Alabama came into that game at number 8, I believe. Alabama's got some work to do. Texas has some work to do. Boise State, who started out the college football season, mind you, just about a week ago tomorrow, Boise State, who came into this game at number 25 because of the incredible season they had, because of this individual named Ashton Jeanty, who tore up the running back records and the running back lanes all season for 2024-2025, who is now, I believe, the starting running back for Pete Carroll and those Vegas Raiders. They absolutely got railroaded as well, 34-7 to South Florida. Let me just repeat that. 34-7 against an unranked South Florida. Now, again, anybody that knows college football, that knows really professional sports in general, college sports in general, these normally week 0 to week 1 or 2 are supposed to be, we're getting the kinks out, but you're also supposed to be able to, play your game speed, make the plays in your playbook, and get an easy win. Obviously, no win is easy. It's any given game day, okay? But you're not, as a D1 school, top tier school, you're not paying these teams to come and to beat you. You're paying these teams so they can get experience. You're paying these teams so they can get, the bigger stadium feel, the locker room feel, to get the experience for some of their guys so they can go back into their respective conferences and hopefully carry that experience with them all season to their championship, that type of thing. Boise State, not great. Maddox Matson, 225 yard, 25 for 46 in terms of passing completions and 1 touchdown. Bynum Brown, 210 yards, 16 for 24 through the air. Now look, I'm going to just tell you this right now. And we're just going to go over some more stats here, and then we're going to go over just some conversations in terms of just some previews for the week. One of the bigger games for college football, this just for the start, LSU versus Clemson, number 9 and number 4, Garrett Nussmeier, Cade Klubnik. This game was a banger. I don't give a damn who you ask. This game, I don't care if you're an ACC fan, a Big Ten fan, a Mack Truck fan, a Thunder fan. This game was one of the games that you needed to watch if you are a football fan in general. This game was a banger. Garrett Nussmeier, 232 yards, goes 28 for 38 and 2 touchdowns. Cade Klubnik, 230 yards, 19 for 38, goes for 1 touchdown. Listen, Garrett Nussmeier. Yeah, the SEC needs to watch out. The SEC needs to watch out. Garrett Nussmeier is getting his swag. Has got it a little bit last year and just carries it all into spring camp, summer camp. Now we're here at season. That kid got swagger. Listen, I'm not even an LSU fan. Okay, I watch LSU. I watch a lot of football out of Big Ten. Listen, the LSU Tigers and Brian Kelly. I would put them on some of your watch list if you have watch lists like I do. And we're gonna go over the Mack Truck watch list here at the end of this segment. Garrett Nussmeier is not to be played with. But on the flip side, Cade Klubnik is also that dude too. Everybody saw what Cade Klubnik was able to do last season as well. Carried Clemson all the way into the first round of playoffs, and they did unfortunately drop off. Both of these gentlemen are about to carry their teams as far as they possibly can go with zero regrets, and I'm for it. I'm for it. I love it here. I just love football. Anyway, going on to some more stats here. South Carolina versus Virginia Tech, 24-11. Lenore Zellers, 209 yards, 12 for 19, 1 touchdown. K'Ron Downs, 221 yards, 13 for 35, and 2 interceptions on the game. And the Sunday night game that was Carson Beck's debut as a Miami Hurricane football player versus the now starting quarterback for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish in CJ Carr. CJ Carr, 221 yards, 19 for 30, a pair of touchdowns and interception. Carson Beck, 205 yards, 20 for 31, and two pair of touchdowns. Now listen, again, anybody that has watched college football knows where Carson Beck came from. Carson Beck is an SEC champion. Carson Beck is also a football champion. Went to the University of Georgia. Now, Georgia has had a couple issues just as far as his play, Carson Beck's play and completion percentage last year. But in order for a quarterback to complete passes, the receivers have to catch the damn ball. That was also one of Georgia's biggest issues, was their receivers couldn't catch a cold. Starting to look like the Iowa Hawkeyes. And don't get me started because we're going to get into them this next. Like, quite literally, either way, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish are going to have a decent season. I don't think they're going to go back to the playoffs. I don't even think they're going to make it back to the semis in terms of college football. But they're going to be a force to be reckoned with any time that you have this individual named Jeremiah Love in the backfield running the ball. You're a force to be reckoned with. Anytime you have a Marcus Freeman who knows how to coach a team and coach a team well. This is his third season, I believe, and he's now been super relevant every single season and has now looked at the playoffs, been in the playoffs, and has now played in the national championship game and then unfortunately has come up short all 3 times. However, Marcus Freeman, Jeremiah Love, the entirety that is now CJ Carr, once they start to click, everybody also better watch out for Notre Dame. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm just going to be completely honest. And everybody honestly should really watch out for Carson Beck and Mario Cristobal's Miami Hurricanes. As much as that pains me to say that, because I am a closeted Notre Dame fan. Shout out to my Uncle Jeff. Shout out to Moreland. Love you. My Uncle Jeff is a diehard Notre Dame fan. Obviously, I am a diehard Hawkeyes fan, went to school, all the things. Uncle Jeff went to Notre Dame, so I get it. These 2 teams are also need to be on y'all's watch list if you are college football fans. Now, it's time to talk about the Iowa Hawkeyes. You would think I would be more excited about this, but here I am, not thrilled in the least bit. Iowa Hawkeyes beat Albany in Kinnick Stadium 7-34. Great. 34 points on a D2, D3 school. Okay. The Albany Dukes hung for a little while. Then we started running the ball on them, making passes, all the things. Jack Shields, 134 yards, okay, 13 for 26, 1 touchdown. Here's my issue right here with the Iowa Hawkeyes offense. Mark Gronowski, D2 champion out of South Dakota State University. 44 yards, 8 for 14 on a completion rating, and 1 passing touchdown. 44 yards to start out your D1 career at the University of fucking Iowa. Irritates my soul. However, now taking everything into consideration, it's his first game as starting quarterback for a D1 program. Okay. We can, obviously that's going to happen. Jitters are a thing. Anybody that's played sports or had any kind of huge performance, jitters and nervousness are a thing, especially if it's your first time. Again, we get you. Listen. But Tim Lester, we are literally known to be tight end university. We have sent some of the best tight ends and still have some of the best tight ends in the NFL now who attended the University of Iowa. Some of the best offensive linemen who still have had storied careers and are still playing in this day. Even have a couple quarterbacks that still have pretty decent careers in the NFL. What's the point of having tight ends if you don't use them? Tight end university for a reason. Now, I completely understand that in week 1, depending on who you're playing, you don't want to open up the entire playbook. But I'll tell you this. If the University of Iowa offense doesn't do something, little brother Iowa State's going to run all over us, and I'm going to be hot. The Iowa Super Bowl is this weekend. For those of you who don't know what that is, that would be the Iowa Cy-Hawk Corn Series. Okay, this year it is played Jack Trice Stadium in Ames at 11 o'clock in the morning this coming Saturday. Don't ask me what I'm doing. I will be unavailable and screaming at the TV. I'm just going to tell you that right now. Although I will say this, Mark Gronowski, being the stand-up individual he is, had post-practice interviews, things like that, media obligations, things like that. He basically said he has to be better. He also basically said that we have to take what the defense gives. Anybody that knows Iowa State football knows that they like to cover things deep and deep for a long time. They like to leave the middle wide open. Just like I said earlier. Okay, your deep slots are covered. I'm throwing digging depths, 10, 15 yarders, 10 to 7 yarders. I'm letting my running back, okay, Mr. Washington, run through holes. But the 30-47 shows that we can still run the ball. We also have sent running backs and still send running backs to the league. I mean, there's this super cool guy named Caleb Johnson that we just happened to send to the NFL this past draft. He's about to be the starter for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Don't know if y'all know who he is, but he broke all kinds of Iowa records last year. Came very close to running running through some NCAA running back records. Just going to throw that out there. Either way, you have to be able to show that you can play without those main pieces that you've had in the past. Iowa's got a lot of work to do, got a lot of cleaning up to do if they think they're going to go into Jack Trice Stadium of all places and beat Rocco Bet and beat Abu Sama. Okay? Listen. And Coach Matt Campbell, is about as fiery as Kirk Ferentz. And this game, and I hate the fact that this damn game is always week 2. I also despise the fact that it's at 11 a.m. for absolutely no reason whatsoever. For what? Why? That needs to be a nighttime game. Every other in-state rivalry across the board is a nighttime game. Hell, the Nebraska-Iowa game, the American Heroes Cup game is on Black Friday at 11 a.m. Some of the other ones, though, like Iowa, Wisconsin, night game. In fact, the rest of Iowa's games are all at 5 o'clock at night, except this one. It drives me bananas. Can't stand it. Not going to be able to do it. And when we play Michigan State, too, pretty sure that game is 6 o'clock, 6:30 at night. I believe it's in Kinnick. If it's not, it's going to be in East Lansing, and that was going to be nuts, too. Really... It drives me nuts. Texas Tech, that game's going to be nuts. And then I'm pretty sure they're also bringing back the Red River Rendezvous. That one's going to be nuts. And then battle for Paul Bunyan. Michigan, Wisconsin, MSU versus UM. Gonna be crazy. Well, listen, either way, college football is upon us, folks. We're back and better than ever. We got more previews and one more game recap. I did see here, Bill Belichick's first game as a college football coach did not fare over very well. Bill Belichick's first game as a college football coach did not fare over very well. The Texas Christian University Horned Frogs came into Chapel Hill and scorched the absolute crap out of Bill Belichick's North Carolina Tar Heels. Okay? When I mean scorched, I mean 48-14. 8-14. Jack Hoover, 284 yards, 27 for 36, a pair of touchdowns and an interception. Max Johnson, Bill Belichick's starting quarterback, 103 yards, 9 for 11, and 1 touchdown. I have questions. Now, and I have questions and really answers. Question. Yeah, yes, everything was listen, and I'm seeing comments on both sides. And again, thank you guys for joining. If you're watching here on StreamYard and Facebook Live and in the groups, if you're watching here on the TikTok, I appreciate it. Everything was great the first drive. And then TCU just said, hey, welcome to college football, Bill Belichick, and just, drove a giant Mack truck through his defense, drove a giant Mack truck through the offense. Listen, but, any given game day, just because you have a pedigree in one league of NFL or one league of football being the NFL doesn't mean that automatically transfers to college, which I absolutely had a feeling this was going to happen. But luckily for Bill Belichick, if he knows how to get into anybody's behind and knows how to shape a team, it's Bill Belichick. I'm highly interested to see how the rest of the season goes for him. I'm now highly interested in how TCU fares the rest of the season. Either way, football is football, folks. Just going over some quick previews for the rest of these games here. Like I said, Iowa State in Jack Trice Stadium at 11 a.m. on Fox. Iowa State is a 3.5-point favorite. Iowa is plus 110 on the money line. Okay, so if you're a betting person, the University of Iowa is plus 110 on the money line. So, maybe go money line. But I will tell you this: if anybody knows anything about this Cy-Hawk corn series, you cannot predict this day. You cannot predict this game in any way, shape, or form. You couldn't predict it if Jesus Christ himself came down with a steel Jamaican drum and banged it in the back of your head. You couldn't predict this game if Helen Keller came down in herself flying an airplane with Amelia Earhart and hit the backside of the barn. You couldn't predict this game if Babe Ruth himself came back from the dead with Mickey Mantle, okay, and played in modern baseball. You couldn't predict this game. If any of that stuff, you couldn't predict this game if Tupac came back and started rapping with Queen Latifah. No way in hell you're going to predict this game. Anything can happen during this game is literally what I'm trying to tell you. I'm excited. Like I said, I'm unavailable from 11 a.m. to 2:30, 3 o'clock. Then I'm still unavailable because, I'm hanging with Babe. Love it here. Michigan versus Oklahoma. Michigan is 1-0 on the season right now. Oklahoma is also 1-0 on the season. 6:30 Central Standard Time, ABC. Oklahoma is a 5.5-point favorite. Michigan is plus 115 on the money line, which I think is interesting. Oklahoma hasn't been relevant in college football since before Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams made the switch to USC. Last time I checked, the Michigan Wolverines had a recent college football title. In fact, pretty sure they won it the year before Ohio State did, which would be 2 seasons ago for those of y'all who can't count and do math and things. The fact that they gave Oklahoma a 5-point advantage is nuts to me. I will say 3.5 of those points is home field advantage. The other 1.5, 2 points rather, Michigan starting quarterback, no one really knows. Michigan also lost Colston Loveland to the NFL, lost a lot of players to the NFL and Canadian leagues, things like that. And I put the next game I put on this list, literally I only put on this list because I don't like the University of Georgia. I'm just throwing that out there right now. Anybody that knows me knows where my family roots are from. The Southeast. Texas, Oklahoma, Georgia, and New York. Okay. I don't like Georgia. Never have. I follow them a bunch. Don't like them. There's a lot of players from the University of Georgia that play in the NFL. Love them. Don't like the school. They play Austin Peay, which is technically would be like their tune-up game. Austin Peay, 1-0. Georgia, 1-0, 14:30 on ESPN. And I'm taking Austin Peay because I'm always going to pick against Georgia. Unless they play Alabama, might just pick Jesus Christ himself. Listen. Okay. Grambling plays Ohio State in the shoe. Grambling is 1-0. Ohio State's 1-0 on the Big Ten Network at 2:30. And Oregon State. The rivalry has been revamped. Both 1-0, 14:30 CBS and Paramount Plus. Oregon is minus 28.5 points, which means they are favored by 28.5 points. I'm going to say at least 10 to 15 of those points are home field advantage. And there's no offset, or there's an offset bet in terms of the betting line for Oregon State, which is interesting to me. Now, again, I thank you guys for joining me here on the Mack Truck Show. My name is Mack Truck. Thank you for joining us on the StreamYard, on the TikTok, in the hallway, wherever you're at enjoying this. I thank you. Again, this broadcast is brought to you by the Tired Sports Network and Cumulus Media Des Moines Podcast Network. Make sure you're following Recognized Game with Caleb and Evan Bradfield. Make sure you're recognizing or following the Tired Sports Network and the Bearded Brothers Podcast, as well as the Mack Truck Show, okay, as well as On Time Sports Talk, okay, as well as Crew Talk. There literally is a variety of shows on the Tired Sports Network. If you claim to love sports, if you claim to love football, all the things, make sure you're following the Tired Sports Network, liking, sharing, subscribing, everything. And again, big shout out to the Sports Vendor Sports Network as well. We got shows on there as far as hockey, wrestling, and one big show that I like to give a shout out to. Shout out Prescott Kelly, and the Playbook Podcast. Big shout out. Listen, if you love football and you just want a podcast that helps you break down the legitimacies and logical thinking of NFL football, Prescott Kelly and the Playbook Podcast is your show. Also, and I'm going to give a big shout out. So before we get into Mack Truck's watch list for college football, there is an individual in the chat in TikTok. Their name is Tate Talks NFL. You all need to follow Tate, follow her page, and follow her podcast. Tate is the real deal. Tate knows what she's talking about, and I want to get Tate on the show. We chatted this morning. I was in her live, in her comments. She had some things to talk about, and I'm going to talk about some of those same topics here once we get into Mack Truck's watch list for college football 2025. Okay, big shout out to Tate. Like I said, like, follow, share, subscribe. That girl knows what she's talking about, and anybody that knows me knows I know what I'm talking about, and I'm always looking for females that know sports and know sports at a high level. Tate, I'm telling you, Tate is on that list. In fact, pretty sure Tate may know more than me, which is nuts. Because I feel like I'm a walking ESPN. No, everybody needs to follow Tate and give Tate a big shout out. Listen, in terms of Mack Truck's watch list for 2025 in terms of college football. Okay, if you have been following me, have been watching my content for the past couple of years, ever since 2018, 2019, 2017, somewhere in there, like very much pre-COVID, I started doing watch lists for college football because I wanted to start watching more football in general. And also, big shout out to me and Evan's sequel show, Pass the Rock, coming back to you soon. Stay tuned. Which is also where we kind of came up with the idea of watch lists in general. So I followed so many teams in the past couple years with this. Okay, so I followed Notre Dame, I followed Alabama, Georgia, Army, Navy. I've followed all kinds of teams, G2, G3, NAIA, all kinds of things. But Mack Truck's 2025 college watch list. Normally it's about 6. Right now it's 5. I'm going to give it another week to see if another team just happens to catch my eye enough for me to watch the entire rest of the season. Obviously, University of Iowa, who's 1-0, Iowa State University, who is 2-0. They played in week 0. That's why they're game ahead of everybody else. South Carolina with Lenora Sellers also on the watch list for 2025. North Carolina, Bill Belichick, who is 1-0. I'm watching the rest of their season to see if they can turn anything around. Number 5, ironically enough, is for those of you who are in the Des Moines area and know Missouri Valley football, that type of thing. Drake University, who literally just got, again, if you know the Iowa system of private school college football, Joe Woodley, who is the one of the best NAIA national championship football coaches, who just got done with his coaching tenure at Grandview University, has now picked up and uprooted his talents and tenure to Drake University. Drake University is on my watch list as well. Like I said, I've got one more spot open for a third or a sixth team rather. So I'm trying to see what other teams are up there. And I take suggestions as well, folks. I take suggestions for the watch list. It's not just teams that I like. Like, it's obviously 2 teams on my watch list that obviously Iowa and Iowa State like heavily. And you know what? It's funny. I literally, there's comments over here on one platform. There's comments over here. FSU is like that team that's like teetering for me. It's like FSU and South Florida, honestly, too. And I also want to try to possibly do an HBCU like Grambling or Grambling State. You know, Morehouse. There's like 3 or 4 teams that I'm like juggling right now. So we'll just have to see. But in terms of just some of the topics that I was kind of talking about earlier when I was mentioning Tate's Live and their content and their page and everything. And this is more of a rant, and it's more of disgust. Let me make myself very, very clear. And yes, that Southern accent is gonna come out. Y'all just going to deal with it, okay? We are in 2020-5, okay? Let me just repeat that. We are in 2020-5. Why do we still have misogyny in sports chats? Specifically speaking, this morning when I went into Tate's Live, Tate was, giving their contact all the things. Contact, all the things. Doing their thing on their live the way they know how to do. Why is it that some of you boneheaded Y chromosomes still seem to come into these chats and think that women and girls don't know sports? Like, make that make sense to me. Please, somebody make that make sense to me. Because what in your sane mind gives you the right to come into somebody's live and think that you know more than them? Obviously, they have content, they have a page, they have more followers than you. Why do you think that's okay to go into somebody's chat and do that? And really, the specific topic they were talking about was, it's always going to be, it's unfortunately, until society gets out of this mindset that women don't know sports or shouldn't be able to talk sports on a high level or shouldn't play sports on a high level. Unfortunately, whenever that mindset dissipates is when a lot of the misogyny will dissipate. They were talking about this morning in Tate's Live that, women only get picked for sports roles and anchoring roles and TV positions in terms of talking sports on the sideline because of their looks. And first of all, I thought Tate's head was going to fly off her shoulders, and I was for it because, that's absolutely disgusting to assume that a woman gets her position in sports because of how she looks. First of all, I am not that cute, and I have a great position in sports, and I will dog walk 99% of people, including dudes, when it comes to sports. And I have my own show. I've also created my own show, created my own brand, did it all myself without, the help of big syndicated things. I'm trying to become syndicated, but my taste ain't for everybody. I'm going to tell you that right now. My taste is not for everybody. I've been compared to Stephen A. Smith. I don't know how many times in my life. Been compared to Kendrick Perkins. How about you just compare me to Mac damn Truck? How about that? Okay? Not all women get picked for positions because of how they look. While, yes, I'd probably say nowadays 70% of women that are in those big broadcasting roles, big sideline roles, get picked or got picked based on their looks. But I can guarantee you, none of the, I'm not going to say none, but I can guarantee you 86% of them have never touched a football competitively. 96% of them haven't put on shoulder pads ever in life outside of do interviews. 99% of them have never touched a basketball in a pro setting, have never swung a bat in a pro setting, have never punched somebody in the face when it comes to combative sports, boxing, MMA in a pro setting. But just because they are good looking doesn't mean they don't deserve the opportunity, folks. I will come on here every damn show if I have to until I'm blue in the face. It's going to take me a long time to get blue in the face. I'll tell you that right now. Just because a woman is good looking doesn't mean she automatically gets a spot in sports because of her looks. It's disgusting. I wish I could have screenshotted it and put some of the pins of those comments from Tate's Live over here. Because some of y'all would be like, what on earth is that? And I mean, hey, listen, Tate literally was handing everybody their butts on a silver platter. Anybody that had anything negative to say, anybody that tried to disprove their point, no. Don't assume that a chick don't know sports. Don't assume that a chick doesn't know football. Just because you're the head coach of a Pee-wee team, don't mean you know more than me. I'll tell you that right now. I can guarantee you don't know fucking more than I do. I will dog walk you. Period. I will dog walk you. And that's a fair warning to anybody in the most respectful way possible. Okay? Now, obviously, there are people out there that know more than me. I have absolutely no problem. I'm not refuting that. I'm not saying that. But if you coach a Pee-wee basketball team, and I've played basketball at a higher level than Pee-wee, I probably know more than you. I've been playing football since I was 6 years old. That's almost 22 years between All-American, little All-American, flag, middle school tackle, high school tackle, and then I started my women's pro circuit at the age of 17. And I just retired in July. I literally retired 2 months ago today, now that I think about it. At the end of my season for the Nebraska Pride women's team, I retired at 15 years on the women's docket. You do not know more than me unless you've played in the NFL or coached in the NFL or college to some extent. You don't know more than I do. And I can guarantee you, people like Tate who take time to perfect their craft and perfect the thing that they love, you don't know more than them. Couch coaching doesn't mean you have a degree in coaching. You probably live in your mama's basement eating stale Cheetos, okay, scratching yourself like the Y chromosome that you are. And some X chromosomes do that too. Listen, ladies, don't sit here and tell me that you support sports and you love sports, but you can't even support women's sports. I hate that shit. That drives me absolutely nuts. Do not sit here and tell me that, oh, I love sports and I love football, then you should absolutely be supporting women's sports. Because at this point, in 2020, damn 5, sports don't have no gender. Sports don't have no gender. It's a thing. If you can play the sport or perform the athletic to the best of your ability and be competitive and outdo your opponent, I don't give a damn if you have hair like me. I don't give a damn if you look like Lee Watson, who's on my comments. Shout out to Lee Watson. We love him. Elephant or that cowboy hat right there. If you can perform the athletic task to the best of your ability in a competitive manner, that's what it's about. It ain't about gender. It ain't about misogyny. It ain't about none of that BS. Sports have no gender. Sports are sports. And for those of you ding-dong dudes out there who want to try and come on and give me crap, my inbox is open for an argument. You're going to lose. I'll roast your ass on fire. I'll have my wife make Mexican elodie. Okay? Don't come out here. Don't come out here. Either way, listen. That's it. That's all we got for the show today. Okay? Listen, we did it. We might do it again tomorrow. Also, for those of you who follow a lot of these Facebook podcasts and shows, I will be on Smacking Off tomorrow. Okay? Repping the Iowa Hawkeyes, per normal. Duh. Rivalry week. They asked me to come on. I will be on 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. And if you've never watched or listened to Smacking Off, I highly suggest you listen to a couple episodes before you hop on. It is very vulgar, and it's not for the faint of heart, I'm going to tell you that. But tune in to see, you're going to want to tune in anyway, because I'm going to be there. We're still talking football. We're still talking Iowa Hawkeyes versus the Iowa State Cyclones rivalry that happens this Saturday. Listen, I'm out. I got sports and stuff to watch, Halloween movies to watch with Babe, and I'm kind of hungry. I ain't going to lie. But either way, that's all we got. Thank you for tuning in today. Might be back tomorrow. Could be back next week. Who knows? Who knows what the future's going to hold? Either way, make sure you follow the Tired Sports Network as well as Cumulus Media Des Moines Podcast Network. Follow us on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, Ding Dong Ditch, a Twinkie, a Reese's Peanut Buttercup Oreo. Find us anywhere you get your podcast. Like, share, support, subscribe, send me snack money, all things. Okay. In the illustrious words of Ellen DeGeneres, be kind to one another. In the illustrious words of the great Pat McAfee, be a friend. Tell a friend something nice. It might change your life. And in the illustrious words of the great Prescott Kelly and myself, stay up, stay blessed, stay tuned, and stay sporty. We'll see you on the next one. See ya!